What up, virtual people? Welcome to episode 86 of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2022. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, the third leg of our VCR tripod himself, Mac Daddy Mickey Torres is back on the show.
What's up, everyone?
And fast approaching veteran VCR status, fresh off a performance at Carnegie Hall with the Vancouver Master Chorale, Fandom Spotlite's own musical expert, Jaz Bielby is back on the show.
Hey.
Yes!
Do you know the way to Carnegie Hall?
So it's almost been a year now, almost. So
well, it's still fresh in my mind. It was last night in my mind, so it's gonna be fresh for a while on VCR. At any rate, we are here today to scorn Sega, eat some chocolate-covered pretzels, and to pitch sequels in a very uncomfortable place. Ugh. That's right, folks. This world needs Mallrats 2, LeFours Awakens, and we're here to give it to you. But before we relaunch the Svenning saga, we need to talk about how Mallrats came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course, that includes everyone watching in the live chat as well. So Love at First Laserdisc, Vital VHS, hit us up in the chat and let us know how Mallrats came into your lives. So
Mickey knows LeFours. He doesn't know LeFours.
So Jaz, I'm guessing you'll have no trouble remembering the first time you watched Mallrats.
Yeah, I actually did my first watch today after getting asked, hey, you want to do this thing with Mallrats? I'm like,
oh, really? Are you
sure? Let's do it. So I had my first watch today.
Well, you are welcome, because you were sleeping on one of the greatest Kevin Smith movies ever.
Absolutely.
This was, ironically, for you, obviously the last one you ever watched, but for me, the first, the gateway drug for me into Kevin Smith movies. But I gotta know, seeing it through adult eyes for the first time, how does it hit? Does it feel like, oh man, this is up there with Clerks and, all the others, or is it like, okay, this is different?
I mean, yes to all the above. I definitely agree. It's like one of those sleeper hits. Like, you don't really know what you're watching until like you're actually watching it. I actually enjoyed it more than Clerks personally, and it took me right back to the '90s with all of Shannon Doherty, Stan Lee, Ethan Suplee, all these guys that I grew up with in the '90s, and of course the Mall.
Of course, yeah. The most extinct aspect of this movie now.
Absolutely.
Not since the phone booth has anything ever been so gone.
Well, if I've ever seen an extinct mall in my life, the one you're sitting in front of looks like it is on the last throes of death, Ian.
This is the mall.
That mall definitely has some store closings.
We know those malls very well. That's the mall that is really only open so old people have a place to walk in the morning.
It's the one floor mall. That's it.
Yeah. They sell heated back pads more than any other mall in the world. And that's about it.
And
so
coffee.
Mickey, tell me this was either an HBO movie or a date, and I'll have made some money on my points bet account.
This is actually a rental. But I can
rental.
remember.
Oh,
it was
man.
a rental.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Are we talking Palmer Video or?
Yeah, it was definitely Palmer. No, actually, this one might have been West Coast.
Oof.
I think this was a West Coast one.
We just take a moment of silence for West Coast Video.
R.
Where are they? Yeah.
R.
Where are they? What are they doing? We miss you. West Coast, please come back to us. When I throw out the West Coast gang sign, I'm really talking about West Coast Video.
When I say West Coast, you say video. West Coast Video. West Coast.
Was that really their old jingle?
No.
Okay. Oh shit. Because for a minute there, I was like, wow, really embraced it, didn't they? Any rate, getting back. So how old is Mickey when he rents Mallrats for the first time?
Well, it was 96, right?
Yeah.
96, yeah. I was 20?
20.
Yeah.
So
something in that ballpark.
So you're about the same age as the characters. You assume they're like mid-college aged.
Yeah, probably so.
Was this like a movie that's like, this is my generation on film? I mean, did you love it? Had you seen
loved it.
Clerks? Had you?
I think yes, I did see Clerks. So, I had seen Clerks. I would agree that I thought this one was a little bit better than Clerks. At the time, I probably would go reverse now because I think I have like a newer appreciation for the original Clerks. But I love Mallrats. Don't get me wrong, because it's, like being from Jersey, who doesn't love the mall? That's where we lived at the mall. So it was like basically like everything they were doing, I lived. I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. The food court, everything, so I love this movie.
That is pure poetry to me. And I'm guessing now is Ian's turn to bash another movie and say he hates it.
I'm not gonna bash. I'll be honest though. I am in that boat of. I love the making of Clerks. I don't like Clerks. I can definitely say that. I'd rather watch.
I mean, I would say that about Alien 3, not Clerks.
Same way,
but Clerks.
But Clerks was one I never could get into as much as I think Mallrats. So I definitely, if I had a choice between the two, it's going to be Mallrats. But Mallrats was the gateway to Kevin Smith world. It was Mallrats and Dogman. Those were the two that got me into that View Askew verse. But how I got into it was, when I was a freshman, and I think we can all remember this. Do you remember when you looked up to seniors when you were a freshman in high school, and seniors, they could have been like 35 years old. They looked like adults. They acted cooler than you ever could in your entire life, right? Brian Abbott, all right, if you're out there, Brian, this is for you. Brian Abbott was the king every day he had a color of Chuck Taylors, that he could wear, and he was just the coolest of the cool kids, and he one day was like, kind of like the LeFours, like, you don't know LeFours? So it's like Kevin Smith. Oh, you don't know Kevin Smith? This kid doesn't know Kevin Smith. Come over here. Let's watch this movie. And he pops in Mallrats at like 11 o'clock at night at a friend's house. And it's like all these seniors around and me and a couple, like one other freshman who are sort of cool. Shut up, Mickey. But, I was sort of cool.
I mean, is it as cool as Ian in that mall cool, or?
Hey, no, it's as cool as this guy in the mall sitting there reading, his phone, depressed that he's working this job at the mall.
He's depressed that he's got somebody named Ian, like with his photo on his backdrop. This guy he's on his phone all day long and living his dreams. And then when one guy walks up to the table, he's like, crap, I have to actually do something. What do you want? But watching that Mallrats and just is like, that's a movie that as a freshman, you just had never seen before. Like that was the movie I could quote the dialogue from. Every day the kid is back on the escalator. You just anytime, and like we all remember, Kevin Smith for those dialogue scenes. Oh yeah.
I mean,
the king of dialogue.
I dare anybody to sit through the food court and the cookie stand debate and not laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the dumbest conversation, but you're actually laughing because you're like, oh my God, they're both right. This is an actual debate to have. What is part of the food court and what is a just mid-mall snacking station? So
I mean, I had the same conversation with mall cops back in the day at the same time that they were having this conversation in the movie.
Were you one of the mall cops?
He was robbing this guy when the guy wasn't looking. That's who Mickey was.
Oh my God!
But that was the gateway. And then I went and I got Dogma, and that was it. I was a Kevin Smither for life. Even to getting Clerks 3 that just came out on Blu-ray. Like I had to get it to see that. It just, nothing will ever beat Tusk. I can't lie to you. I'm a Tusker. Like that movie's brave as all can be.
I do like Red State too.
Oh yeah, no, like Kevin Smith is genius. And I know this is like the Kevin Smith movie that tanked. This is the one that he hates the
Well,
most. I
it's
think.
it's the one that right after Clerks, studios came a running, and they're like, Universal literally told him, and you would love this aspect of it, that we want a smart Porky's. Can you do that? And he's like, okay. I don't know in what way. I don't know in what way this is a Porky's, but it's very smart, So I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he doesn't hate the movie. I mean, he is work. I mean, he did finish a script for a new one.
Did he?
Yeah,
I heard that.
Yeah, he just
I don't know
every
why
time he
world,
tries.
I don't know what the hell is wrong with this world. If Kevin Smith has a script for Mallrats too, and we have to be sitting here on VCR Redux talking about it. Now, Universal, I'm a big fan, but come on, just cut the man a check and let's get it going. Here, all right.
I will say this. I'm usually, even if I don't see a movie, I usually know about the movie. Like even growing up as a kid, like I would know of movies. And Mallrats completely passed my peripheral. I mean, I never heard of Mallrats. I didn't see it when it came out. Like I didn't see trailers. I didn't see any of it. And then it just, all of a sudden, as a freshman, here's this movie that I'd never even come across, never even seen at the video stores or at Suncoast Video, which was at the North Park Mall in Davenport. That was the place to get movies.
Another moment of silence, please.
Suncoast.
Because
for Suncoast Video.
Suncoast kept the mall alive in my heart.
Yeah. F you, Sam Goody. F you, Sam Goody. You weren't as good. You really weren't. You
Saturday Night Matinee was good too.
Sam Goody folded. They had it all to themselves after Suncoast closed, and Sam Goody folded like the Buffalo Bills in a Super Bowl.
FYE came around too. Coconuts.
FYE is
still around.
Yep, there are FYEs
around there. Yeah, they are. They are hanging on for dear life.
There is a Suncoast.
There's one at. Yeah, there's one
a Suncoast in Freehold still.
Yeah, it's up here at our mall, FYE, next to a couple of cobwebs and a freaking couple of just guys left over from 1987.
I'll tell you what, since we're throwing in the kitchen sink with video stores, I just gotta throw it out there. I was a Hollywood Video fan. I loved Hollywood. I really loved Hollywood Video.
I liked Hollywood Video.
They had a deep concert section. They had a lot more like foreign films and stuff like that. Just deeper catalog and every section.
I will preface my love for Hollywood Videos with my love for Palmer Videos, because what happened in my town was that Palmer Video was there first, and then Hollywood Video took over the Palmer Video. So they kind of repainted, but it was still kind of the same. So for me, it was just like, well, it's Palmer Video still. And I loved it.
You know what must have been the best time ever? Being a stockholder in VHS in 1997. That was a good year. Like you just didn't have to worry about industry collapsing upon itself.
Like
it's probably
a better year. Yeah.
87 is probably
97 is the year DVD came out. You were shitting your pants if you were selling that stock as fast as you could in 97. Great time to sell.
97
not
was
a great time to hold. But at any rate, I'll get to my first time watching Mallrats in a sec. I do want to touch on the live chat. I see a new name in there, Roman, Snooch to the Booch, Bong. Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in.
Snicky Snoogans.
I also see Gold's Code in there. Service, I say. Service. This is why malls are failing. That's in reference to background picture. You also said, who goes to a mall anymore? Besides Mickey, someone needs to run the Orange Julius machine.
I freaking love malls. I still frequent malls.
I don't frequent malls, but I miss the days of the mall very much. I was very much a mall kid, and it's part of why this movie spoke to me. I also see Angie Saunders, Monica Thyman in there, Miyagi-Do Forever. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Some love for Hollywood Video via Gold's Code and Angie Saunders. Not too much on how people discovered Mallrats, unless I missed it here. Oh, I sort of think I missed it. Some love for Clerks being superior to Mallrats, so says Sean Gold, at least. Angie Saunders, though, I love all his movies in reference to Kevin Smith, which I would definitely agree.
By the way, Angie Saunders, thank you for that Mallrats photo.
Yes.
That
Angie Saunders made an awesome...
Definitely.
Yeah, Angie Saunders made a very, very cool... Mallrats.
Why
mashup
I'm Silent Bob, I don't understand. But
Ian is the least
It's
silent guy ever.
because
But I
they-
think that's what's funny about it.
They
Yeah.
That's
want
great
you to be
about it.
silent. Maybe that's what it is.
We all want to be Brody, but you know, we're just not as cool.
First
as
off,
Nick.
Burn.
first off, if anybody in this group has a Comedy Central neon sign in their room, it's this guy. All right, so I don't want to hear it from any of you.
You
Well,
also you're also
you ever-
I
selling
do
beach
love that.
sandals.
I do love that. Yeah.
You're selling beach
Have you ever
sandals
looked
over
at-
there for $5.
That's right. Have you ever been have you ever looked at the posters on his wall though? And I love this in movies. They're all Universal movie posters because, of course, it's a Universal movie. So he's got Howard the Duck, Legend, he freaking has the Serpent and the Rainbow movie poster. Nobody in this world, not even Wes Craven, had a Serpent and Rainbow poster in their room. That's the only issue I have with this movie.
You know what? It's all forgiven for the Comedy Central sign that predates South
It
Park.
really
It
is.
predates all that. Like that's that's a wonderful logo. Why Comedy Central ever abandoned that logo astounds me. Every logo they've had since then has sucked. Like they suck. I'm sorry. I get it. You have to have these really simple logos now because you shrink them down to like the size of a dime on your iPhone screen. But that logo was a wonderful piece of art, and so was Comedy Central before all that shit. Another moment of silence, if you will, please. I mean, there's just so many forgotten, you know, loves here on this particular episode of VCR Redux. But I will get into
Kevin Smith has done a graveyard of a movie. That is basically what this movie is. It's a graveyard.
It stirred up all
It's a
graveyard of
graveyard for-
emotions, and it's appropriate that Ian's at the graveyard of them all while we do this. So
Hey.
my
but Todd's hanging in there. He's looking at his phone, but he's getting paid.
Todd is milking that clock. Any rate,
I hate
such a Todd move. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Todd's. Any rate.
Yeah. I forget you, Todd.
And I'm just thinking of Beavis and Butthead. Like Todd is cool.
Todd's cool.
Somewhere out there, every Todd has a Beavis and a Butthead.
Do you remember the Beavis and
so
Buttheads? Do you remember the Beavis and Buttheads at your mall? Do any of you remember going to the mall and looking at those guys that were always there? Like, do you actually remember your Mallrats?
I mean, I was probably one of them. So
I mean, you guys.
Probably.
I guess I'm talking to
That was probably me and my
Jaz,
buddy
do you
Steve.
remember?
You know,
I guess
Jaz
I
is a bit.
remember.
Tiny around that era, so
I think Jaz is a bit
Ah.
younger than us if she's young enough to miss Mallrats in the first go round. So my first time watching Mallrats, let's see, I was probably about 12, maybe 13 years old. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So I was
What the
yeah,
heck
what about
was that?
that was a sneeze.
This is live, sir. Have some respect.
Well, luckily,
We
luckily,
can't
my
go
germs,
back and change and edit this.
luckily my germs won't travel over Zoom. Any rate, so I was like 7th grade, I think. It was like really the perfect age to discover this movie because I was probably at like the height of my Mallrats, whatever. The height of my being a Mallrat. And it's interesting. You just think about that time. You always had to beg your mom to drive you to the mall, you know, because your dad's not going to do that shit. It's like, hey, mom, like, you want to go to the mall? Like, and it's like, you know,
I was lucky enough to be able to walk to the mall, so that was cool because mom wasn't taking me to the mall.
see, my mom was kind of a mall rat too in the late 80s into the early 90s, that era. You know, I think that was just embedded in both of us. But yeah, no, I just instantly loved this movie. I'd never seen a Kevin Smith movie, so I went out and saw Clerks right after this, and then the Clerks cartoon came out, and I started to realize that like Kevin Smith is really becoming a thing. And then
I
yeah,
love that
and then,
Clerks
you know,
cartoon. I love it. I own it on DVD.
I have it too. I haven't rewatched it yet though. I'm afraid to rewatch those things because like I got that Spaceballs cartoon, and man, it was rough. It was. I mean, Spaceballs is just hard to do without John Candy, but you know they could have made it work. They should have done a prequel, so you could have had a young Barf. And animated wise, I think you know it would have been acceptable, but it's another story for another day. Yeah, I mean, I was very much aware of who Shannon Doherty was, but most of the cast was fresh faces to me. Like I don't even think I realized that was Fennel Thorson playing LeFours. And apologies, I know I spelled LeFours wrong on the graphic here. I realized it's too late to change it.
And Michael
but
Rooker's in it.
yeah, Michael Rooker, who I don't know if I was really aware of him outside of like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer at that point. So he
Yeah.
was like kind of a fresh face, sort of. I don't even know if I even put it together that was him back then. I probably didn't.
No, I certainly didn't. I mean, he had bald head, so
Yeah, he looks so different with the shaved head. And apparently that's because he was trying to dye his hair silver for like a different look, and then just decided that bald would be better. I don't know, probably the silver look it's really hard to like fake silver hair on people. So I could imagine that looking ridiculous. But yeah, I just love everything about this movie. Like I said, my mom and sister were big 90210 fans, and I like think I probably was, but didn't want to admit it at that point that I was a 90210 fan as well.
God. Such a huge 90210 fan. I was such a huge mark for that show.
Oh, I love that show.
I jumped that craze. I never got into 90210.
I still remember the first day going into like school the next day after watching like the pilot episode or one of the episodes. Go like, did anybody watch that show about the girl that gets gets pregnant and this and that, whatever, the whole thing, whatever? And everybody was just like, I saw that. What was that? I'm like, I think it was something called Beverly Hills 90210. And then
another moment of silence, if you will, for the greatest show in television history.
Can we have a moment of silence when Mickey got beat up after he admitted to everybody he watched 90210?
No, I was a big hit with the girls. They were all
I was gonna say Mickey got like 17 phone numbers that day. That's the day he became Mac Daddy Mickey.
That's
Torres
when it started.
That's when it happened.
Exactly right there. All right, I get it. All right.
I put two and two together.
I so we wish we had 80s guitar music right now, just like
yeah, man. Let me get a little Survivor.
But this was that movie, Mallrats was that movie, that VHS that you just watched over and over and over again. And like when I got a DVD player, it was one of the first movies that I knew I had to like upgrade. I was like, I watched this so much. I'm tired of rewinding this movie. I'm gonna save lifetime, by getting it on disc now. And it sucks because it's one of those DVDs I think you bought like multiple copies of.
Because there's like three different
versions. They did like a regular one, and then they did like a collector's edition, and then they did like another anniversary edition. And it's like, well, I need all the Mallrats special features because I'm a nerd.
That one in Army of Darkness. I got like 5 different versions of Army of Darkness.
I have Universal. Oh my god,
Evil Dead as well. Evil Dead 2 and stuff like that. I have the Necronomicon version of the Evil Dead.
Dude, Universal loved to double and triple dip on us, and they got me like every goddamn time.
Army Darkness, I had a bunch of those. Yeah, they got me every time too. They knew. I'm like, oh man, it's the same cereal, but you put it in a new box.
Oh my god, yeah. I remember when Warner started, I'm gonna really detour it for a sec, but when Warner started re-releasing their original DVDs that were in the paper cases, the cardboard cases, and they finally started putting them in snappers. I was like tempted to rebuy movies just for that, and I was like, oh my god, like no, stop yourself, god damn it.
I'll
print my own covers at home and do
I have Purple Rain. I have Purple Rain, the original DVD, like on the little cardboard snap case or whatever like that. I hated it. I was sitting there going like, what the hell is this?
That's no way to protect a disc, god damn it.
That's no way to respect the genius of this movie.
That's not even a way to make a good coaster.
It's right up there with double disc.
Double-sided disc. A good way to make a movie. Like,
so Mallrats is obviously one of the things that moves like, getting back to Mallrats, right? Real subtle. But it's a movie that moves like a mile a minute, and it has those sudden transitions like I just did. What's your favorite bit? Is there like a bit or a quote or something that comes to mind, or a role?
Oh man.
I mean I love the whole kid on the escalator again. I love the whole the bat plan, the fat ass stuff is great,
fly fat ass fly.
The whole mapping, I love that because it just reminded me of like an old like Scooby-Doo like cartoon, like when they're like mapping out the plan and stuff like that, how to catch the criminal.
For I think a number of reasons, for me, this movie's all about Brody. You know, like
Oh,
from the
for
get,
sure.
Yeah.
from the get, Brody is like, oh my God, this is like Chainsaw from Summer School, but as a leading man. Like Chainsaw is like my archetype in movie character,
And
history.
thus
Everybody gets compared to Chainsaw.
Thus started, my admiration and fandom of Jason Lee.
Yeah.
He's such a great actor.
Yeah.
And I love the London brothers. I love Jason London and Jeremy London. And I like Party of Five, like all that stuff.
That was that.
And they're great. And like I absolutely feel like I missed out because he came to one of our shows and I didn't even get to meet him. And I heard he was awesome too.
This is actually when I discovered that they were twins. I'm
like, oh right, yeah. You think they're the same guy for a while? You're like, oh man, look at that.
Like Party of Five? No.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And you still get confused sometimes. Oh, which one was in which? God damn it! There's so many.
And that was dial-up internet, so there was no way I was gonna go online and try to find this information out.
Mom, are you on the phone? But
Jeremy
Brody, like
London.
The fact that this guy has the Comedy Central sign in his room is, was enough for like I was like, all right, I'm already sold on this guy.
The Sega hockey too.
Anything
like
seriously,
me,
yeah.
The Sega hockey too. I'm sitting there going like, oh man, I love this game.
Hell hath no worry, like hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned for Sega. Jazz, what was yours?
I think oh, good.
Okay, well, I mean, I kind of have two, I guess. I mean, I would have to say the scenes with Stanley, of course, because he's always just out there giving like advice, and it was just kind of surreal seeing him.
That is the whole heart of the movie. Like the more that I think about it, that's absolutely the heart of the movie.
It just made my heart happy and sad at the same time seeing him today. And also, like, just for like the shits and giggles aspect, I kind of like the fact that I can't remember the guy's name in the movie, but Ethan Suplee's character, the guy with the sailboat that came picture, that's me. I could never see the 3D image ever, so that kid is definitely me, and I just got to kick out.
Oh yeah, I can relate to that. I can never see those.
You dumb bastard! It's not a scooter; it's a sailboat.
A scooter is a sailboat.
I was happy that he actually finally thought at the end near the end of the movie. I'm like, okay, good for you, buddy. But yeah, never. I can never see those things ever.
I love that part though too. You dumb bastard. Like, he's like literally like like you dumb kid. You don't sit there and tell me. And I remember like those pictures were everywhere in a fucking mall. And they were everywhere. And I remember just like staring at these for hours. And then there was also like our mall like opened up like one of those like holographic 3D stores where like every like picture was like the holographic kind of hologram thing.
Oh my god, that's so incredibly 90s. Holy
you'd
fuck.
walk by it, you'd walk by it and it was a girl, and then you'd walk again and she's like a demon or something like that.
It's so cheesy, yeah. It's like the type of things they put on Pogs, and it was like, here we have a beautiful 50-inch one you can frame and hang on your wall.
That's why I love this movie though. This movie is like literally the mall. Like it literally
nailed mall culture. Yeah.
I really wish it could have been a mall commercial. Like literally like, slap your mall name here. And this is the commercial you would put on.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing that I find fascinating, I mean, my daughter, we needed to go see Santa Claus. And the thing is, it's not like you just go to the mall anymore to see Santa. That's not a thing anymore. Whereas, like for us,
it's a thing at my mall.
My mall has a Santa.
Yeah.
Do you have a mall? Like
maybe the mall that you're sitting at right now with the $5 beach sandals.
This is the mall that
Santa would never visit that mall. He's afraid of that mall. He's gonna die
this
there.
Is the mall.
Your mall doesn't have a Santa. It has a homeless guy smoking cigarettes and yelling.
This is where he's like, this is where they filmed Dawn of the Dead. I'm not going in there.
This is where Billy Bob Thornton's Bad Santa is. This is exactly it.
Yeah,
I will say this: the line that I quote the most from Mallrats, and I don't know why, but it's like anytime that you're talking to somebody, you're trying to convince them to go somewhere, like go to this restaurant or go to this way. And they're like, I don't know about that. If you could just go like, hey, ye of little faith, want a cookie? You know, like, I don't know why, but I say that line to anybody I'm trying to convince of something. It's just like, it works for everything.
That's definitely that's not one I would have expected, but
I don't know why. Like, that's the line that I quote
literally
that
thinking
that's
yourself.
because you know
if
what?
Ian were to say that to you, you'd look at him and go,
no, I would
talking
get
about?
it, and I would be like, oh, I would get it, and I would be like, oh, nicely done, sir. But that's just not like, you know, the line you expect from this movie. You know, I thought he was gonna. I was like, where's he going with this? He's gonna be like, you gotta try the new cookies, the cookie stand. Come on, they're awesome. Like, that's not a, you know, I had no idea where you're going with that. But you know, again, getting back to like the Brody thing, the TS, I think part of what it is that the TS character is, if you really look at it, he's sort of supposed to position to be the leading man, but he's not really that like drawn out.
Yeah.
There's not, you don't really define the relationship that much. You don't, and I know they cut scenes from the beginning that tested very poorly.
Can we acknowledge what an a-hole he is? That girl died because of him. I thought that was watching it today. I rewatched it today, and I was like, this is a terrible way to have your hero of the movie. Like,
oh, right? Yeah, he's
girl.
responsible for someone's death.
And he doesn't care. He does not care that she died in the pool. All he cares about is, you're ruining my engagement. Like, you just helped a girl die. It's like Kevin Smith. I feel Kevin Smith wrote this now. That plot point would be huge throughout the whole script. Like, it would almost be the movie.
But to be
fair, if you wrote that today.
To be fair, though, as someone who suffers from foot and mouth disease, I can understand saying just the wrong thing. You didn't really even mean to say it, but it just slips out, and it's the absolute, like, just word vomit, you know? And who would have known that she was gonna go do 700 fucking laps in the YMCA pool until she has an embolism and died? And I don't even know how embolisms work. Is that like a thing? Like, could that just be random? Embolism, like, could that just happen when you're walking down the street anyways?
That could happen to one of us right now on the show. Yeah, it's just
so we don't know that it's really TS's fault, do we?
Let us not doom ourselves.
It's really society.
Don't put that on me.
Society who made her feel like her body was inadequate, that forced her to do those laps, which is what, you know. I'm just trying to absolve TS a little bit here.
Yeah. Speaking of foot and mouth disease, shut up, Chris. Anyway,
well played, sir.
I don't know. It's like Mallrats is a movie of its time that I appreciate, I think, more now than I did then, and probably because I'm in that boat of, I am in that generation of, like, the malls are dead, and it's kind of weird. Like, you go to a mall now, and it's really odd to me. You know,
also, remember, we're coming out of, like, you know, the pandemic and everything else like that. Like, malls
that's what I'm saying.
Took a big hit during that time, and now it's like the results are there. Like, a lot of malls have a lot of empty retail spots and everything else like that. A lot of changes, and people don't shop at malls as much anymore because of Amazon and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, but it's also interesting here in Delaware, the mall, they walled up a Taco Bell that was built in like 1987. They just walled it up, and people forgot about it. Did any of you like read that story?
No, but that reminds me of
they walled it up, and it's
so the inside was still 1987.
Yeah, and they just like so it's like. Yeah, it's like freaking the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They all went in there. It's like 1987's Taco Bell was in the Delaware Mall, and nobody, like, for some odd reason, it was like,
you know what,
gonna be remodeled, and then it got.
I bet you if they
is that on YouTube? Pizza... Because I watch a lot of you know, like abandoned malls, abandoned things on YouTube.
I love
it's on there, yeah. But it's like the idea of it is so. Honestly, it's just so nostalgic now. The idea of the mall. That is part of what my pitch will be, but I'm also kind of hoping if Kevin Smith did a script for Mallrats 2, has got to be a part of it. The whole nostalgia for malls, you know, it's just almost a forgotten.
Yeah,
that's where I went to go see movies. I mean, that's where I went to go see movies. Was at the mall. Like, you went to the mall to go to the movie theater, which I think
saw Batman '89 at the mall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I saw Hard Target at the mall.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw Hard Target and an actual Target. It was phenomenal. It's the most meta thing I've ever done in my life. So we are at the pitching part of the hour, which again includes everyone in the live chat. Let us know what you want to see and what you don't want to see in a Mallrats sequel. Send us your comments.
All right,
pitches.
before we go though, Chris, we've got to acknowledge Jay and Silent Bob. I mean, this was a movie that made me love Jay and Silent Bob. You know, and the smartest thing Kevin Smith ever did for the Clerks, sign up thing. He got the character rights for Jay and Silent Bob because they thought the Clerks was a one-off movie that nothing would ever come of it, and so that's how he was able to put Jay and Silent Bob in all of these movies. And bless his heart,
genius.
Well, it almost sort of almost had it wind up sort of differently in the case of Mallrats. Universal demanded that he find someone else to play the role of Jay. They're like, this Jason Mewes guy, he's not a real actor. Like, he can't do this. Like, you gotta audition. And they forced him to audition like Seth Green and Breckin Meyer and these people. And eventually he was like, look, this guy is the guy and he can do this. He did a great job. And like, all right, yeah, fine. It's cool. We got you to try, you kind of like
you barked, you moved.
Yeah.
You showed us your belly.
You mentioned like Breckin Meyer as, Jay.
Oh my God, yeah. And I could see the studio being like, this Breckin Meyer guy, he's really hot. He's coming off of stuff and blah, blah, blah.
That's basically what he played, Jay in Can't Hardly Wait, basically.
It's so true.
Can't Hardly Wait?
Yeah.
You mean Clueless?
Are you thinking of Seth Green?
Clueless. Sorry.
Clueless. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining Jay like holding a chick over like.
Because you said Seth Green, so I like.
No VCR is complete without a reference to Airborne. I see one in the live chat. Sean's Gold. I gotta go, but Mallrats is a great '90s movie, but compared to Airborne, it's whack.
Seth Green's best movie.
I absolutely love Airborne. Oh yeah.
I swear none of you ever watched that movie. All of you all just sit there and talk about it. You've never seen it. You thought you'd seen it. It's actually a movie that you saw that you mistitled it as Airborne.
But we all have the same memory of it, right?
I'm just saying you're thinking it's Air Buddy 3 or something. You're just thinking that not since Out of Bounds, people.
I prefer Air Bud 4, Air Chud. That is a film that the whole family can enjoy. I'm just saying. So there's some love.
Cannibalistic underground dogs.
Yes. Dude, this is the fucking franchise that we need. Coming soon on a future VCR. So there's not much in the chat for pitches yet, but I'm hoping they're coming. Unless I missed some there. But there is some, a lot of VHS as to how people discovered Mallrats. They finally answered the call. But so as always, you have to roll the clock forward, 25 years or something, almost 30 years, basically, probably by the time it would come out. It's a cool. Oh, well, thank you. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I hear the voice of God. Yeah. They didn't hear that. Yes, I know. I hear the producers in my head, or the producer, I should say. The voice of God, as he likes to be called in my head. Boy, now I just sound like a schizophrenic. Any rate, getting back to Mallrats, you have to roll the clock forward 30 years because I don't think you can digitally de-age everyone and pretend it's 1997. But it's interesting because it's not. I feel like Mallrats is one of those movies where you roll the clock forward and you honestly have to take some curveballs with where these characters' lives wound up.
Oh my! I have to have Ben Affleck in jail still.
Yes, please. That's the only way I will allow Ben Affleck.
Serving that many years for that crime. So.
Yes, yeah, that would be good. Gosh, that whole concept of that, I kind of forgot about. I just rewatched it last night.
Yeah,
Mallrats is in the category. It does not age well, folks.
No, For
Clerks
sure.
is
It has a
better
little
than
bit of that
Mallrats.
Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, Revenge of the Nerds thing.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
know, that's all like studio shit. You know, the studio probably pushed that kind of stuff. Again, they wanted a smart Porky,
Oh, yeah.
so.
And that's
They
the
had to
first
have
time
some-
I remember, that I saw Ben Affleck too.
Oh, I know, right? Like that's Batman. How ridiculous is that? That's fucking Batman. Like,
Although it is pretty interesting when you saw the credits, it did have like a Batman thing next to his name, which was kind of weird if you really
oh
think about it.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't even catch that
interesting.
on the rewatch. Wow. Man, that's nuts. But so like, rolling like say Brody, right? So Brody's hosting the Tonight Show at the end of Mallrats. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
obviously going on this big career. I feel like you could play that out. But then like TS, I feel like TS and Brandy like didn't make it. Like I feel like they got married, or maybe they didn't even get married, but I think it's boring if everyone's still together and everyone's, happy and doing great. I don't know
Or
if
maybe
Brody and
maybe
Renee
they're
would still
going
be
through a
together.
divorce. Maybe they're going through
Maybe
a
they're going-
divorce.
Maybe they're going through a
It's so
divorce.
it's so unfortunate to me because I think like the plot for Clerks 2
Mhm.
would almost work for Mallrats 2. It's like they had their big lives, but they literally, in the scenario I thought of was, Brody, his comic book store where he has, because I hate when movies break out of time, right? And Jay and Silent Bob, or Jay, what is it? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Mhm.
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Brody has his own comic book store,
Mhm.
right? So, because he said
But
something
that
about
was-
he did the.
But that was based on his character in Chasing Amy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But no. It's Brody's comic book store.
Yeah,
Because
but
his character in Chase and Amy, he's at the studio. So he
He's
plays two characters in there.
he's an actual like tracer.
Yeah, but he's at the studio playing the Banksy character. But in Jay and Silent Bob, it's Brody's comic book store. So he owns a comic book store.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. I think Brody loses the rent. So during the pandemic, the rent goes extremely high. So he needs to find a new place for his comic book store. He's got to go to the mall because it's the only place he can afford rent because it's so cheap right now. Because nobody's at the mall, right? And so here a mall rat has to actually become what he used to make fun of, which is all the people at the mall. And he opens up a comic book store. But in order to get people to get into the comic book store, they've got to rev up revenue for the mall. So it's almost like he's got to build the mall back up.
Okay.
And
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things I thought of is, he hires Jay and Silent Bob as advertisers for the mall. Right. And you can do the view askew thing. I mean, the guy who makes the videos is
/ security, because they need to be security as well.
Yeah. But you got Scott Anderson's character from Zach and Miri Make a Porno.
Mhm.
He does the commercials for the mall, so you kind of get this view askew averse, in this story a little bit.
Nice.
That's all I kind of got on it.
No,
But
I like that.
I think that's a
lot.
good
I like
setup.
where you're going with that because it when I was asked to do this panel today, I was trying to figure out what would my pitch be. It's like, again, the malls are kind of dying right now. And there's at least been a couple of malls. Well, there's like the Vancouver Mall, which is the big mall, Vancouver, Washington, not Canada, by the way. And then there's like a little strip mall somewhere in Oregon that's nearby, and they had like what they called like, well, at least with the Vancouver Mall, it was called CouvCon. So they had like a couple of like celebrities show up, try to get revenue to go to like the stores and whatnot.
What
And I've
was
been
it
sitting
called?
there trying to think of like who we could pull, because I mean obviously we can't do Stan Lee now.
Yeah.
Oh, you get.
Oh, but you do Kevin
dude.
Feige.
Yeah,
Kevin
Or James
I can
Gunn.
do it.
James Gunn would do it too.
James
Get Ben Affleck.
It's gonna be good.
You get
No,
Ben Affleck
keep him out
playing
of
Ben
it.
Affleck.
keep him in prison if you must have it.
I like Ben Affleck though, but
Ben
Affleck is Ben Affleck.
but I like
It
his.
could
character.
be time. It could be time for Matt Damon to return to the Viewsk universe.
That
Oh,
that'd be good.
He could be a rich fucking developer who wants to buy and close out the mall.
Or
And you know,
let's
I
do
like
this
that a
one.
lot.
Let's just
no, that's
let's
Michael
do this
Roker.
one.
Michael Roker wants revenge. He's got to be. the
Remember-
bad guy. He got-
remember
no,
what
that's
happened-
Roker. He's not
remember
Al
what-
Roker's brother.
Rooker.
Sorry, Mickey's got a pitch. I'm sorry.
No,
And there's some in
remember,
the chat too. And
remember that like you want to bring Matt Damon in. Remember what happened to Ben Affleck in jail. Matt Damon could be his boyfriend in jail.
He's Matt. Oh, that'd be funny. He's Matt Damon's
love
bitch
it.
in
That would be
jail.
great.
That would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a really good.
That
show.
is pretty good. That actually is pretty funny. Like Ben
That's
Affleck
really-
talks, Matt Damon's like, "Shut up,
Shut up, bitch. I swear to
Shut up,
God.
bitch.
Yeah. Like,
Oh
my
that'd be
God,
awesome. That would be
and he's
awesome.
like, yes, yes, and he goes back to polishing Matt Damon's shoe with like a toothbrush or something. You know? Oh man, that's.
And but of
Yeah.
course, you got. I mean, you got to have Shannon Doherty come back, though.
Oh,
absolutely,
her,
yeah.
her and Brody
Or-
would be married.
Well, here's an interesting thing in the
Or-
chat. You know, Angie Saunders touched upon this. Her pitch is Brody gets married and becomes the a-hole dad, which actually lines up with everything we've been saying, which could sort of
Mhm.
instigate.
It's,
You know,
it's also
yeah.
like something like I read. I think the synopsis or whatever like that for the script that Kevin wrote was
Mhm.
basically Brody and Renee are married and they have a daughter or something like that.
Okay, that's not a big shock. There's always, you know, a certain degree of autobiographical
Yeah, true.
like angle to all of his stuff. So that tracks.
But I would
um,
I would also like a show. Like I mean, I know he originally did pitch this as a show at one point too.
I think a limited series or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know that we're so over a lot of these shows or what like that based on movies, but I still would think. I mean, oh man, to visit the mall, once a week or whatever like that, or
Oh yeah, to be back in the mall, that would be
Ah.
incredible.
and if it would,
You could have. I mean, there were so many stories with the mall. I mean, that you can have, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, if he can rebuild the mall and
Mhm.
make it a thing again, like,
Yeah.
and I don't know,
has
why,
a
I mean,
hat,
it's
like make malls great again.
Oh, please.
well,
no.
we're in that season, but how cool would it be? Like the ending of the movie, I don't know. It's like the town just can't decide on a place to have Santa Claus. Brody makes it so Santa Claus is at the mall.
He's
Like
really
that's a
stuck
big
on
place.
his Santa Claus not at the mall anymore. thing.
Listen, that was something you could rely on every single season, and now it's like you can't. I mean,
Maybe it's just in
that's-
Delaware because
Coming
You know what?
Christmas 2023. Mallrats.
You used to be able to rely on
That's
Laserdisc
right.
being sold at the mall, and now you can't rely on that either. So there's nothing in this world that lasts forever if Laserdisc's down.
You of 5 people are trying to get Laserdisc to come back. I am done with
But
this.
the wall's lifetime guarantee is no longer around either. So
There's no more
Yeah,
B-Dalton
yeah.
booksellers. It's just a sad, sad world that we live in. But we trudge on, and we try and nudge someone towards making them Mallrats too. Again, I know.
or he could do flea markets too. He loves flea markets as well, Kevin Smith. So like, what about
flea market style. Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind.
Mallrats is like in a flea market now.
I wouldn't mind. I feel like either way, you need to see the Dirt Mall again. Like the
Oh.
Dirt Mall was a character just like anything
That is
else.
the
Oh.
worst part of that is the part of the movie that I cannot lie aged the worst is the story
What?
the storyteller. That's just
Do you think that age is worse than a grown man having sex with a 15-year-old girl and
Well,
talking about
I'm
the
just
kids on the
saying
block on
that's-
fucking video?
Yeah.
that was
Come on now.
That
Come
is
on
weird.
now. That
No,
is-
but I'm just
yeah.
saying. But I'm saying like that's the part of the movie I'm watching it today. I'm just like, what? Like what?
And first of all,
Just
you
goes
got the
on
great-
and on.
I think it's amazing because you got Priscilla Barnes to do that. The great
Yep.
Priscilla Barnes,
Yep.
who from all the way back from Three's Company. My God, that is just fantastic right there. Incredible. It's not like you just got, because if it was any other 90s movie, they just would have gotten like whoever was that Playmate of the Month or that like whatever. And like, you know, that outside of Stan Lee, that's the only part of the movie that actually has kind of like a little bit of heart to it. You know?
It's true.
His reaction to it. And that's the only thing, that's the only moment in the whole movie where TS is like noble or admirable, or, you know, it's the kind of only redeeming scene for him, that he doesn't even notice the third nipple. And of course it's not, you know.
It's funny though that we're talking about this movie and a possible sequel and this and that, and like it's like we have ideas for Brody and stuff like that and some of the other characters, but we have no ideas for TS. Yeah,
well, I think like, TS.
This is basically like, you know, like you said. I mean, like, yeah, you could do like he's going through
just
divorce. He's going through the divorce, or maybe they broke up. I don't know, but like, you know, but whatever it is, you're just like, well, I don't really care what they do. You know, it's you should bring him back, but at the same token, it's like the movie's all about Brody.
Like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like for this one, I do want it to be more Kevin Smith now writing, though, because the one thing I did notice today that I hadn't thought about in years is the script. Kevin Smith is still writing in that Clerks approach, whereas if you watch like Jay and Silent Reboot or Clerks 3, like Kevin Smith is like fine wine. It's like fine wine. He's aged better in his dialogue. Like it has more meaning. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I kind of want a Mallrats 2 to almost be like Clerks 2, because Clerks and Clerks 2 are two radical movies. Like they're very different, you know, in their approach. And I kind of want that with Mallrats 2. I want a different. So it's like, and I'm bringing this around to the whole TS thing. It's like TS can be there, but I think Brody is the heart of it. You know, whereas Clerks, it was the tag team. You know, you can't have Dante without Randall, but I think Mallrats 2, you can just be Brody, and it'll still be a really good movie.
So
I do want Jason.
Yes, but I do think you need everyone to come back. I think you need TS there.
Oh, sure,
I think you need Willem still searching for the sailboat.
Rooker.
Rooker's got to come back. I think
only if what's his name? The guy who plays he lost all the weight. He's like muscular now.
That's a sailboat.
Ethan Suplee, yeah. Ethan Suplee. Only if he's sitting there doing like he's actually working out while looking at the thing.
Yeah,
I like it.
Like, no, man, I'm gonna
that's
see
what I was
this
gonna
today.
say. I was gonna say we need to have him come back and like looking at one of those 3D pictures again.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
So, like, where does this rank in your Kevin Smith movies for each of you? Like, you know, what's your favorite Kevin Smith movie?
This certainly feels like the most personal one for me in a lot of ways. Like, I think it's maybe it maybe had the biggest influence on me because it, you know, got me to get into all of his others. Like, I don't know if I would say it's my
favorite.
Part of me wants to say Dogma is my favorite just because it's so...
That one's good too.
So strange and weird and just awesome and like perfect. I don't know.
Yeah, the one I want, like, I got 3 different categories with Kevin Smith. I'll say it this way: his bravest movie to me, bravest is Tusk. I respect him so much for going out and doing Tusk. Like that is just, it's not a great movie, but the bravery of doing it, the way he did it, and all the story behind it, I love it. Mallrats, I would put lower on the totem pole. You know, as I've looked at all of his movies, like I just think it is one of the weaker ones. So I don't put it high on the list, but my top of my list is Clerks 2. Like Clerks 2 is the one that I'll just watch over and over and over again, and it never gets old to me. Like I think some of the funniest bits are in Clerks 2. Like even Clerks 3 is a little bit lower. Chase and Amy is brave too.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
That's the one where it's like, yeah, that should be in the National Film Registry almost. You know, Clerks is now in the National Film Registry, which is crazy to me. Did you guys know that?
Yes,
I think his whole first 4 movies should honestly be. I think Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma. Like those are all to me worthy of being there.
Yeah.
Those are all.
Absolutely.
And then after that,
I
you
agree.
get to
I agree.
Jane Silent
I
Bob
agree
Strike
with you,
Back. It
except
becomes
for
little.
Mallrats.
Yeah.
I even like
Of
Jersey
course,
Girl.
Of course.
Jersey Girl was later, but I love Jersey Girl.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Jersey Girl. I don't know. I just can't bring myself to it.
Don't blame
One of
you.
these days. Yeah, one of these days I'll get over it and just
J-Lo?
watch it.
What's all the Ben Affleck hate?
No, I like Ben Affleck.
That's my boy. I love Ben
I like
Affleck.
Ben Affleck. I've liked Ben Affleck since he dribbled a basketball in Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 1992. I was like, that guy, he's going places. He's going to be Batman someday.
Oh, shut up. No, you didn't.
Of course not. You're ridiculous. I was like, he's going to be Batman someday and Daredevil and all. Yeah.
You're going to be on a asteroid blowing it up with Bruce Willis. I know you.
I know where you're going, buddy boy. Remember when they were supposed to make a Die Hard with Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis? That was like a thing that was going to happen after Armageddon.
Oh,
like, these guys are great together. Like,
take my money.
Gosh,
take my money.
Yeah, Mickey's sitting here like, please give it to me, please.
Oh man, especially if Ben Affleck has a Boston accent when he's doing it. The best. The best.
I think he just has to annoy Bruce Willis if they do that the whole time, just with the same call me Joey, call me Donnie, who's your favorite new kid? That's it. That's the only way I'll accept it. So I guess that is about time, unless there's anything. I hope I didn't miss any pitches in the live chat there, but it seems like just Andy Saunders was there pitching strong for us today. Before we wrap it up though, guys, is there anything you've got coming up in the works you want to let people know about? Articles, recordings, Fandom Spotlight related stuff, or just where to follow you guys on social, maybe?
Recently just had a B movie article for Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, the toy maker. So check that out here on Fandom Spotlight. But pretty soon there should be another article about a movie called Mob Queen, which was literally promoted as mix Donnie Brasco with The Crying Game. I'll leave it there.
Wow. Mickey, Jazz, anything coming up in the works for you guys, or just taking it easy around the holidays?
May well, I mean, obviously we're on break right now because of the holidays, but come January we'll be back in rehearsals for a May performance of the Mozart Requiem and Regina Cayley, I think I said that right. Yeah, that'll be a good time, and then
bless you.
I'll let you know what happens next year because we're talking about going maybe some places. So I'll have to let you know.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that sounds very ominous and intriguing. We'll definitely be.
This show is live, Chris. Stop doing that.
Stop. I can't help. Sneezing is an involuntary reaction, my friend. It's not like I scheduled this in advance. Mickey, anything going on with you, bud?
Not really, just taking it, winding down here. Like I said, recording wise, we've recorded all the basic tracks and everything else like that. So right now it'll probably be background vocals and maybe some doodads here and doodads there. And then hopefully, January, February, maybe something comes out.
Oh, wow. What's actually going to happen? 2023 is going to be the year. Mm-hmm. Also, January 9th, there is a Walking Dead trivia stream here on Fandom Spotlight, so you guys definitely don't want to miss that one. Ooh. Also, we'd love it if you came back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. and we find out what it sounds like when doves fly for our face-off episode. As always,
you were hoping it was Purple Rain, Mickey. That's a terrible movie.
I got Mickey really excited for a second there, but we'll get to Purple Rain eventually. That actually did have sort of a sequel. We'll talk about it in the future. It did. Anyway,
it did not. Cherry Moon was worse than Purple Rain. Doggone it, people.
It's called Graffiti Bridge. Graffiti Bridge. Look it up.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Nobody watched them.
You're gonna just kickboxer 3 yourself again. Anyway. As always, folks, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover in a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow 9 Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.